Hey, what's going on? Ready to do another Free Advice Friday? I'm looking forward to hanging out and answering your voiceover business and marketing questions as always on Free Advice Friday. So hopefully you've got some good things that you want to talk about today. I know that one of the things that everybody wants to talk about is the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. I'm very excited about the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas, the 2025 version of the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. Been very busy this week. That's been one of my priorities, is working on prize collection and getting things sorted and organized and getting ready, and going to do the live stream and all of the fun things that are happening as part of the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. And so I can give you some updates on that, if you're interested, if you want to find out a little bit more about it. Let's see, where are we at? Let me get a running total here. I got to pull up. Hold on a second. I can't math. My math ain't mathin'. I was adding some more prizes today, so I'm just waiting to get confirmations from people. But we stand around $23,000 in prizes, I think, at this point for the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. And I'm sure that there will be at least a few more added to that total as we carry on and as things get a little bit closer to the day. The initial prize announcement is going to happen on December 13th. By the way, if you haven't signed up yet, it's not too late to do it. Head to VOpreneur.com/12VO gifts, VOpreneur.com/12 VO gifts, and you can enter the contest. A new prize from these 12 amazing people will be announced every day starting on December 13th. I've got a little bit of everything this year. There's some demos, conference registrations, courses, workshops, private coaching, you name it, it's in there. Lots of cool stuff this year. So thank you to Joe Cipriano, to J. Michael Collins, to Ann Ganguza, Cliff Zellman, Tina Marasco, Everett Oliver, Mary Lynn Wisner, Kelly Mashinsky, Kay Bess, Hugh Klitzke, the Demo Dream Team, all of them, my big main 12 prize donors for this year. So it does not happen without them. Just amongst those people, there is, let me look at my spreadsheet, just over $16,000 worth of prizes from those people right there. But wait, there's more. Bonus prizes already have been collected as well. Brad Hyland, Dave Walsh, VA for VO, Ian O'Donnell, Marissa Dubois, Earl Fisher, Bev Standing and Graham Spicer of Gravy for the Brain, Jenna Birmingham, Gina Scarpa, Hunter Peterson, the V123 Pros, Catherine and Natasha. Rebecca Davis is back again this year. Tom Deere joining the contest this year. Andrea Hazy, Jordan Reynolds, and Bob Merkel from VoiceAm have all confirmed bonus prizes at this point. And so, man, I'm telling you, there's some stuff happening. So if you haven't signed up yet, again, it's VOpreneur.com/12 VO gifts. VOpreneur.com/12 VO gifts to get your name in on the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. And stay tuned. Stay tuned for more prizes to be announced. I'm excited about it. So what do you guys want to talk about today for Free Advice Friday? If you have a voiceover business or marketing question that you would like to get answered, that is what I am here for. I want to try to answer as many questions as I can. I can stick around for a little while. That's the whole point of this. This is a tough industry. One of the things that I learned a number of years ago is that there is always somebody who is willing to sell you something in this industry. And some of the people who are willing to sell you things are really good and trustworthy people. And some of the people who are trying to sell you things are not always good and trustworthy people. And one of the reasons why I started creating so much free content and working on building my network was because I wanted to help voice actors to get connected to the right people. I wanted to point them in the direction of the people who were genuine, of the people who could help them, of the people who were true industry leaders and professionals. That's where the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas started from. I mean, it started out as the 12 voiceover tips of Christmas. And it was me reaching out to my network and saying, hey, would you mind giving me a tip that I can share with the community to help them this holiday season? And it evolved from there. But it's always been about shining a light on good people and shining a light on the people who can genuinely help you in your business. And I remember what it was like when I was starting out and I didn't have a lot of money to spend and I couldn't afford to do all the coaching that I wanted to do and take all the classes that I wanted to take and work with all the amazing people that I wanted to work with. And I couldn't attend all the conferences that I wanted to attend. And I wish that there were places where I could go and get a little bit of information that could get me started, get me moving in the right direction. And hopefully if I could take that information and apply it to my business, I'd be able to start making a little revenue. And then I could take that revenue and I could invest it back. And then I could take one of those classes or workshops or one of those coachings. And so that's what I'm here for. That's what this is all about. This is my opportunity to pay it forward, as it were, through Free Advice Friday. So if you do have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, don't be shy. Certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can. If you want to type it into the comments, put a Q beside it when you go to ask your question. It makes it stand out a little bit easier for me in the chat. And what do you need to know? What do you want to know for Free Advice Friday? What do you want to talk about? Hey, Mark, thanks again for your amazing generosity. Going to deep dive into that stuff this weekend. Yeah, congratulations on winning that Booked for the Holidays session last week during the live stream for the Free Advice Black Friday, which was fun. Do you like my glass? Let me get my hand out of the way. I have elf cups that I pull out at Christmas time, cotton-headed nitty muggins. It's my festive cup. Hey, Mark, how did you develop a social media campaign that showcased your skills? What you wanted to do and attract clients? Was the campaign different for each platform? The campaign that I'm working on right now is my DocuShorts. So my dream genre is documentary in show narration. That's what I want to do. I want to be the guy on Discovery Channel, right? I want to be the guy on Nat Geo or History Channel or whatever. And so I have started a social media campaign around that goal. So what I have started doing is creating my own short videos. And this is one of the blessings of the internet that, you know, this opportunity, this type of opportunity, it did not exist. When I first was starting out in voiceover, you couldn't really do anything like this, but I've started creating short form content that would be like the type of content that I would want to do if I was on a Discovery show. So extreme weather, ancient history, diving into food and which is a subject that I obviously enjoy, food and barbecue and things of that nature. Space and science and different things like that. And so I'm creating these videos and narrating these videos and then sharing those videos across all of my social media platforms as an opportunity to showcase what I can do as a narrator in the booth. And I've got an entire YouTube channel at this point, a totally separate YouTube channel from this one. If you go to, here, I'll put it in the chat, but if you go to Marc Scott VO on YouTube, if you're interested in checking it out, let me put this in the chat here. There we go. But you can see all the shorts that I have created. Let's go to shorts. So all of these, I've been working on them. I don't know. I probably started in the spring, maybe, when I first started working on some of these things. And right now, I was doing one per week. And then my goal was to ramp that up to start doing 2 per week. And I did 2 per week for a while, but then life got crazy busy and I had to go back to doing 1 per week. I'm trying to get back again to 2 per week for December. But I start them out on YouTube and then I share them on LinkedIn. I share them on TikTok. I share them on Instagram. And to come back to one point that you brought up there, Jessica, was I do share them slightly differently. So the way that I will write a post for one of these shorts on LinkedIn, for example, is going to be very different from the way that I write the post when I share it on TikTok or Instagram. And it's just different audiences and just trying to appeal to different people in different ways. But there's never been an easier time to showcase your ability. There's never been an easier time to showcase what you can do in the booth because of the fact that you have multiple global distribution platforms that let you use them for free, right? You take your iPhone, you go into your booth, you record yourself, and away you go. You can share it on TikTok, you can share it on Instagram. Like literally, you can post anywhere. One of the things that I did with my shorts, you'll notice, I made sure that I was in the video. And that was a very intentional choice to make sure that I was in the video because I want people to see that this is actually a human narrator And that is one of the comments that I have gotten over and over and over again in sharing these videos on YouTube in particular, is how nice it is to actually hear a human voice, because people are tired of AI content. So this was the way I chose to do it. Show me in the booth. You can actually see real human. People have commented before on my facial expressions and the way I move my arms and hands and all of that sort of stuff. But I mean, you could do it like that. You and edit the video down below. I just use stock video to make these things. You could just as easily just put your whole self in the shot and record it that way, or do it completely faceless if you wanted to, and the opposite of what I'm doing here. But yeah, there's never been an easier time to be able to create the content that can help you to showcase what it is that you can do when you get in the booth and you have the opportunity to work your magic. And I do think that that is something that voice actors should be taking advantage of. And I know some very successful voice actors that have built their businesses on the backs of social media, doing just that, creating content that showcases their ability to do the thing in the booth. Day one voiceover. How's your experience been since jumping back into the P2Ps? I talked a little bit about this last week. I'm only on Voice 123 at this point. I've been on the platform for probably, 6 weeks now, maybe. It's been interesting. It's been interesting. And I do understand 6 weeks in why voice actors get so frustrated with these platforms. It's a game. And I've talked about this in other videos. It's a game, and you have to understand the rules of the game in order to be able to successfully play it. The challenge with Voice 123 in particular is that I don't know that anybody, including Voice 123 themselves, actually has a full grasp of the rules of the game. Case in point, I'm running a 4-to-1 audition-to-like ratio on Voice 123, which I thought was pretty good. I could be wrong, but I thought that was pretty good, was to run a 4-to-1 audition-to-like ratio, right? So for every 4 auditions I submit, one of them gets liked. You need to get likes in order to be able to move up in the percentile brackets. That's one of the big factors with the algorithm. Not the only factor, but one of the big factors. So I have now fallen from the 20th percentile to the 40th percentile, despite getting a 4-to-1 audition-to-like ratio. So I reached out to Voice 123 and just said, what do I have to do? If I'm running 4-to-1 right now and that's causing me to fall back, like, what do I actually have to do to move up? Like, what kind of ratio would I have to get to move up? And their response to me was, the 40th percentile is really good. That, I don't know. It really didn't answer my question. And by the way, the 40th percentile is not really good. When you're in the 40th percentile, you're getting almost no auditions. You're getting them in the middle of the night. You're getting them after all of the elite members have already got them. You're getting them after all of the pro 2200 level members have already got them. You're getting them after all of the 888s who are in the upper percentiles have got them. Like, it's almost too late at that point. But I was trying to understand the rules of the game so that I could play the game better. And I can't even get them to explain the rules of the game to me, because I don't even know that they fully understand the rules of their own game. And that is a little bit frustrating. So I do understand why voice actors get frustrated. I'm not done. I haven't given up. I'm still going. I'm just trying to figure out how to better play the game. And I'm talking to a lot of people too. I've talked to several people who are on the elite tier, trying to understand what they're doing and how they're working. I've talked to a lot of people who are at the $2,200 level and trying to understand what they're doing. I've talked to a bunch of other people who are at the 888 tier and trying to understand what they've got going on. And so, it's just me trying to figure out how to play the game, right? No, you don't just start at the major league level when you're playing baseball, right? You start playing t-ball and you work your way all the way through the, minor leagues, and then you get drafted. I'm playing t-ball on Voice 123 right now and trying to learn the game so that I can get to the minor leagues. And once I get to the minor leagues, hopefully I can do enough to eventually make my way into the big leagues. We'll see. But it's been an experience anyway. I will say I did reach out to voices.com. I attempted to log into an old profile, and I was basically banned off that platform a number of years ago. And I mean like 15 years ago, like it was a long time ago. I was basically banned off that platform. So I thought maybe I'd give it another look, just, see what's going on there. I'm learning Voice 123, so why not relearn voices.com at the same time? And when I attempted to log into my profile, a pop-up message came up and said, your account has been suspended. You need to contact customer support. So I reached out to customer support, asked them about whether or not I could get my account reactivated. That was probably a week and a half ago at this point, and I never got a response. So I guess that means that my face is still on a dartboard somewhere at HQ and voices.com. So probably won't have a lot to say about that platform. And that's too bad, because I actually thought the podcast that I did with Gina Scarpa a few weeks ago, I thought was really fair to voices.com actually. But, whatever. We can all justify every purchase for more and more coaching courses, conferences, and more things that start with C. How do you maintain enough percentage of revenue to stay in your pocket? This industry, and it's funny because I just did a coaching session with someone before Free Advice Friday, and we talked about this. This industry is filled with failure to launch scenarios. And what I mean by that is you have voice actors who are one more away, one more coaching session, one more workshop, one more course, one more conference, one more resource, one more piece of equipment, one more studio upgrade, and then they're going to get started. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've heard it. We're all one more thing away. I don't think that the coaching ever stops. I'm coaching with Brad Hyland right now. I've been talking about that a lot. I did an in-show narration workshop through my agent last week, 2 weeks ago. I'm going to be doing Hugh Klitzke does he's going to put me on the hot seat for one of his open sessions, which, guys, let me tell you, that is probably the most intimidating thing that I will ever do in my career. But what an amazing opportunity. Hugh's freaking amazing. Watching Hugh direct is freaking amazing. So having the opportunity to be directed by Hugh in a session like that, in an environment like that, I mean, I'm terrified, but I'm really excited about it as well. And, I would prefer to do it when there wasn't everybody watching, but, whatever, the opportunity presented itself. So take advantage of the opportunity. So it doesn't ever have to stop. It shouldn't ever stop. But I do think there comes a point where you just have to get down to doing the thing, because there's always going to be something else to spend money on. That will never change. And it is not sustainable. One of the things that I've talked about with people in the past is considering that a percentage of your revenue, for example, put aside 10% of your revenue that's going to be for your ongoing education. And, I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt here, but, that's one way that you could do it. I'm going to put aside X percentage of my revenue, which is going to be considered my ongoing education budget. And that's where I'm going to use to spend. So I think that's one thing that you can look at. Right now, I'm going on a needs basis. I need to get a new commercial demo. I want to do coaching before I get that commercial demo. I need to book documentary and in-show narration, like literally like inside of me. I need to. So any opportunity that I can find that's going to get me a step closer in that space right now, I'm going to be open to it, and I'm going to be willing to consider it. But I'm still doing the thing at all points in between. You have to get to a point where you just start doing the thing. Because I think, and particularly when you're a newer talent, I think there's a confidence factor that comes into play as well. If you feel like you still need more coaching, are you really going to be auditioning at your peak? Because in your mind, you're telling yourself you're still not quite good enough. And so there comes a point where you have to tell yourself, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm good enough. Let's go. And then you go. And you do it. And you're confident in your ability to do it. And you trust your ability to do it. And then along the way, where an opportunity presents itself, take advantage of the opportunity. But I can tell you, if I look back, I had the opportunity to interview some amazing people on my podcast this year. Some like people that I consider to be like top level voice actors. Emma O'Neill was a brilliant interview. Matt Fogarty, brilliant voice actor, operating at a really high level. Carrie, oh my gosh, Carrie Olsen. Sorry, brain fart. Operating at an incredibly high level. One of the things that I consistently found with the people that I talk to who are operating at that level is that for them, the coaching never stops. They are always looking for another opportunity to get themselves in front of someone. And I think that's part of it is coaching with intention. So this workshop that I did for in-show narration, it was with a buyer, the VP of post-production of a studio that creates a ton of TV content. So it was getting in front of a decision maker. It wasn't just getting in front of another coach. It was getting in front of an actual decision maker, getting in front of somebody who would actually hire me, getting in front of somebody who I could actually audition for. And so I think there's some strategy in that too. I don't know if that actually answers your question, Tab. It's a really tough question because I don't think that there's a one size fits all answer. I think what it really comes down to is not allowing yourself to create a failure to launch scenario for yourself. Recognizing that there comes a point where you're good enough to get started. There's always going to be room for improvement. I don't think that there's ever been a voice actor who has ever arrived and never done any other coaching or training ever again. I remember having a conversation with Joe Cipriano where he talked about going in coaching. And I was sitting there and I'm like, you're Joe Cipriano. Like, you know that, right? Like, you're Joe freaking Cipriano. But that's why Joe Cipriano is Joe Cipriano, because even operating at that level, he still does coaching every once in a while just to make sure that he's where he needs to be. That part never stops. So keep that in mind. Let's see. What else is going on? I've been considering joining in 2026, but eesh, it's a grind for sure. I'm assuming we're talking about online casting here, Voice 123. I come back to what I've been saying all along, which is you have to understand the rules of the game. It is really easy to blame the casting sites for your lack of success on the casting sites. It's very common, actually, to blame the casting sites for lack of success on the casting sites. Do I think that there are certain aspects of some of these sites that are stacked against talent? I do. Do I think that the casting sites are fully, wholly, and exclusively to blame for the lack of success of so many people in the industry? No, not even a little. I paid for my membership, and then I paid to have somebody to optimize my profile. Not because I want to, but because I have to if I'm going to play the game by their rules. That's just part of the rules. You don't have to like the rules, but if you want to play the game and win, you have to play by the rules. And so you have to be a bookable talent. You have to have great samples and probably a lot of samples. Like at this point, I don't even know. I've probably got 70, 80 samples on my profile. And trust me, there are people who have 200. Like there's people who have way more than I do. You've got to have great samples, lots of samples. Your profile has to be so fully and completely optimized, all the keywording and all of the things. Like there's so many different things, so many nuances to it that are all parts of the rules of the game. If you are going to make the choice to play the game, you cannot just put down your credit card and start auditioning. Not anymore. You used to be able to, not anymore. And it doesn't work that way on 123. And it doesn't work that way on voices.com either. You can't just put down your credit card and start auditioning. You have to have all the other pieces of the puzzle in place. You have to be ready and willing to play the game. These are great workouts to watch. Well, there you go. I think, I don't know if I'm allowed to say yet or not. Don't tell anybody. You didn't hear it here, but February 18th, I think, is when we're going to do it. So mark that one on your calendars. You can come and see whether or not I make a fool of myself. Speaking of nerves, how do you handle your nerves when that level of pressure is on? This is a really interesting question for me. So I was a firefighter for 17 years. I have been in situations that would make most people crap their pants. I have been in situations that most people know they would crap their pants in, and so they wouldn't even put themselves into those ridiculous situations in the first place. When I was on the fire department, my mission was to be the first guy through the door. If there was ever a structure fire, house or whatever, like I was going to be the first guy through the door. I needed to be that guy. I wanted to be that guy. I loved being that guy because I was fully and completely confident in my ability to be that guy. And to go into a place where you literally cannot see your hand in front of your face, like you can't see, and you're navigating and you're trying to find a fire or you're trying to do search and rescue, whatever. I loved those situations. I did not sweat those situations in the slightest bit. Not an ounce of hesitation in those situations. But yet, 2 weeks ago when I was doing this workshop that I mentioned, this in-show narration workshop, and it was my turn to read, and there was, 30 people on the Zoom call maybe, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Like, I legitimately thought I was like, I'm going to have a stroke right here. This is it. This is how it's going to happen. Mark Scott's going to drop dead right here on this Zoom session. Like, I was so nervous. I don't know why. I can't explain it. You could hear it in my voice. I mean, I could hear it in my voice. I'm an introvert. I'm a big time introvert. And those situations are not comfortable for me at all, which is one of the reasons why I've avoided them up to this point in my career. I liken it to, there are about 50 billion other things that I would rather be doing in my life than standing up on stage speaking to a group of people. Not because I don't want to be there, not because I don't want to talk to people, but because it scares the crap out of me. It is not my comfort zone. I am so introverted, I am almost a hermit. But I knew that if I was going to be successful in my coaching, I was going to have to get my butt up on stage. And the first few times that I spoke in conferences, it was not probably great. The content was good. What I was talking about was good. The presentation itself, probably not so good. But I kept doing it until I got better. And that's the way I look at this too. I've made an intentional decision. One of the things that Brad Highland and I talked about when we first started coaching together was my schedule is insane, and trying to find the time to actually be able to work on my voiceover business sometimes is not always easy, because it is not uncommon for me to spend 4 or 5 hours a day in coaching sessions with other voice actors, helping them with their business. And so when you're spending that much time with other people helping them in their business, it doesn't leave a lot of hours in the day for you to work on your own. And so I made an intentional decision that I was going to do a lot less one-on-one coaching in 2026 so that I could spend some more time focusing on my voiceover business and getting into some of these workshops and doing some of these types of things like this open session with Hugh Klitzke. That's part of my plan. It's part of my plan because I know that these things will make me a better voice actor. And so whether or not I like them or whether or not I'm comfortable with them does not matter to me as much as the known benefit that comes from actually showing up and doing it. And so when Hugh reached out to me and asked me if I would do it, the email response that I said to him was like, Hugh, this is literally the most intimidating thing that anybody's ever asked me to do. Like, it literally scares the crap out of me, and every ounce of my being wants to say no, but I'm going to say yes because it's too good of an opportunity to pass up. You do the thing. One of the things Kaylee's 4 years old. And one of the things that we've been working with her on is you can do hard things. I don't know how many times my wife and I have said that to our 4-year-old daughter. You can do hard things. How can I say that to my 4-year-old daughter? How can I tell her that she can do hard things if I'm not willing to try to do some hard things? So something like that's really uncomfortable for me. It's not natural for me, but I can do hard things. So I'm going to do hard things. And in the case of Hugh Klitzke's, you can all come and watch and see how it goes. And we'll talk about it. And I mean, whatever. If I crash and burn in front of everybody, I still got to work with Hugh Klitzke. That's a win. Thanks, Mark. Definitely agree that it's easy to put off getting started. I'm in the process of auditing my expenses and from my revenue and making sure I can justify the P2P travel coaching, site hosting, etc. I think part of it too is are these things making me money, right? I think that's a really important equation that you have to ask yourself. Are these things making me money? And sometimes it's hard to quantify that, right? Like it's hard to say I spent $1,000 at VO Atlanta and it generated X number of dollars in revenue for sure. Like it's really hard to say that, but you can look at, did it make me a better voice actor? After I went to VO Atlanta, did I learn something new that helped me to audition better? Did it put a new connection in my network that got me access to new opportunities? Did it make a connection with an agent that now wants to represent me? Like there's ways I think that you can quantify some of this stuff too. The biggest thing though is just not letting it become a crutch or an excuse. And I'm talking about the coaching here in particular. Don't let it become a crutch or an excuse. Don't let it be the thing that keeps you from putting yourself out there. Don't let it be the thing that keeps you from auditioning or sending your stuff to that agent or whatever. You're probably never going to feel ready. Sometimes you just got to do it anyway. What else, guys? Thanks for hanging out. I feel like Free Advice Friday has gone in a slightly different direction in the last few weeks. I feel like you guys you're making me bare my soul. I used to just be here to answer questions like, how many emails a day should I send? Or what social media platform is better? And you guys are going deep on me here. We're getting very philosophical, getting into some of this game, which, to be clear, I love. This game, man, it is so important. I am learning a lot of lessons personally about this game. Probably some lessons that I've learned in the past, but I need to relearn again, which is why I'm going through it. For someone that's just made the jump to full-time, how long would you anticipate it will take to build some traction with direct marketing, assuming novice level talent? I don't know that there's a easy answer for that question. I think there are a few factors that can make a difference though. Number one would just be how much direct marketing are you actually going to do? There's a big difference between contacting one person a day and contacting 20 people a day. So when I started full-time, I was a single guy. I didn't have anything else going on in my life. And I was very easily sending 20 emails a day. There were days when I was sending even more. What else did I have to do? At that point, I didn't have anything to do. And so within the year, I was booking off of my direct marketing. And I just kept going. And I maintained that level of marketing for several years. I obviously don't do it at that level now. I don't have to do it at that level now. But it took me a while to build the client base that I was looking for. So that would be one thing that I would say. How much are you actually going to do? There's a big difference between 1 a day and five a day and 10 a day and 20 a day and 25 a day. So that's one thing I would say. The other thing I would say is your demos and your website are more important than a lot of people realize. Website, I think in particular. As much as we want to believe that we would never judge a book by its cover, and as much as we want to believe that people would just listen to our demos and say, those are great demos, you sound fantastic. The reality is, if you have McLaren demos on a Kia website, it's going to be hard to get somebody to listen to your McLaren demos. I don't know if everybody's going to get the reference. I was trying to think of the best way to say it, but you can't have an amateur looking website. Not anymore. Not anymore. There are too many other voice actors who are out there who are doing the direct marketing, too many other voice actors who are out there who you're competing with. And so many of them have top tier demos, top tier websites. This stuff matters. It does matter. And if you're a producer, right, put yourself in the buyer's shoes for a second. If you're a production company and you're getting 10 or 20 emails a week from voice actors, there comes a point where you have to have a way to weed through them. It's like casting directors. Casting directors can get, I talked to Mary Lynn Wisner and I talked to Kelly Mashinsky, Tina Marasco as well. And all of them said that they could very easily get 600 to 1,000 auditions for a job. And one of the ways that they narrow that down is if you can't even label your file correctly, you're out. And like, I think Kelly said that eliminated like 10% or something like that right out of the gate. Like, that's not a small number. You have to have ways that you can narrow that down. And I do think that people make judgment calls based on websites. If you tell me that you're a professional voice actor, but you have a website that looks like it was built on GeoCities in 1996, I question whether or not you're a professional voice actor. And that may or may not be fair. It doesn't matter. It's just the way it works. And so I do think that those things make a big difference in the impression that you are making, in the brand impression that you are making. And then the other thing that I would say is, what are you sending? Because you can send 50 emails a day, but if you are sending bad emails, it's not going to matter. Somebody who's only sending 10 a day, but who's sending really, really well-crafted, well-thought-out emails will produce more results than somebody who's blitzing out 50 generic messages a day. And so I think there are a lot of factors that go into it. New books that you are reading right now. Somebody asked me this question last week, and I named off a couple that I was reading. Last night, I just started reading a new Home Depot one. Dang it, I can't remember the name of it. Hold on a second. I got to look it up. Built from scratch. No, Kick Some Dust Up. That's it. Kick Some Dust Up. Lessons on thinking big, giving back, and doing yourself. That's the one. It's a Home Depot. It's from Bernie Marcus, who's one of the original guys of Home Depot. So I just started reading it last night. I'm only I finished the introduction in the first chapter. Still working on Cloud Money. That one scares the crap out of me. I think I got one chapter left to go in that one. That was one of the ones I talked a little bit about last week. I have more books than I have time. You know what was really good? A couple of weeks ago, I finished reading 1929, Andrew Ross Sorkin. I was excited for that one. I pre-ordered that one. It was all about the crash of 29. And I'm somebody who plays in the stock market. I'm invested. I play, not the right word. Managing my retirement, we'll say. And so reading 1929 was fascinating. And I got to tell you, there are similarities between what was going on in 1929 and what is going on today that kind of scare the crap out of me a little bit. One factor of marketing that eats up my outreach is the time it takes to verify if a lead uses and needs voiceover. How do you research and verify a lead while being efficient with your time? This is a really important question to ask, actually, because this is where you start to be able to develop scale. A couple of things that I will do really quickly. If I look at their portfolio and just click through, 5 or 6 videos on their portfolio page, usually I'll hear something that has voiceover. And so if I hear one of their videos in their portfolio that has voiceover, I can assume that they are using voiceover. The other thing I like to do is look at their services page. Often on the services page, it will mention something about, full service, including scripting, voiceover, blah, 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 right? So I look for the word mentioned right on the page. Here's the other side of this. And I didn't always think this way, but when I started thinking more about scale, I started thinking more like this. What is more efficient? To spend 20 minutes trying to determine whether or not a company uses voiceover, or to spend 5 minutes sending them an email anyway? Right? Now, I obviously don't want to spend all day sending emails to companies that don't use voiceover, but if I've looked and I can't find an obvious answer, yes or no, then I'll take a chance, because the time that it will take me to send the email is going to be less than the time that I would spend researching and trying to figure it out. And so that's, to me, that's me being more efficient. How do you handle when you get offers from various industry teachers to join their free webinars? Then you get flooded with emails from them, but feel weird to just unsubscribe. I don't think about it. And guess what? They don't think about it either. They don't even notice if you unsubscribe. I will tell you, when I first started building an email list, I obsessed over who unsubscribed. Like, it would keep me up at night. Like, I wanted to call every single person who unsubscribed and say, I'm sorry, what did I do wrong? How can I be better? Did I send you too many emails? Blah, 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 whatever. And then I realized that that's really dumb. People who want to do business with me will do business with me. People who don't want to do business with me will not do business with me. And I really can't think about it or stress about it beyond that level of granularity. So I wouldn't sweat it at all. Everybody's trying to build an email list. All the best coaches are trying to build an email list. All the best coaches are selling stuff. I mean, look, I'm not hiding anything. I sell coaching. I sell courses. I do. I try really hard to give away a ton of free value. Free Advice Friday, doing my podcast, offering up free resources on my website and stuff like that every once in a while. I mean, I absolutely try to give a ton of free value, but I also offer premium stuff. And my hope is at least a certain percentage of people will say, man, if the free stuff that he's given is this good, how much better must the premium stuff be? And maybe they buy a course with me, or they do some coaching with me or whatever. But if they don't want to, that's okay. I mean, I'm not offended. I want you to work with the right people. And if that's me, great. And if that's not me, great. If I can help you find someone, great. I've actually done that before. I've had people reach out to me for coaching, and then I've said, you know what? I'm not the right guy for you, but let me get you connected with so-and-so. That's definitely the right guy for you. So yeah, I would not sweat that at all. I honestly don't think they're going to notice. And by the way, like, you can always sign up again later if you want, now I need their stuff. Now I'm more interested. Or I want to do that webinar that they're doing. Great, sign up, do the webinar. What else, guys? Thank you for hanging out. I am taking a break from the podcast in December. That was a rather serendipitous moment. I had been stressing about taking a break from the podcast. It's so much work. I love doing it, but it is so much work. And by the time I get to December, I don't have a whole lot left. I've done, I don't even know how many coaching sessions. I mean, I can very easily do 10, 15 coaching sessions a week. Times that out by, 50 weeks of the year. I'm tired. And in December, I'm putting together the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. And that means collecting all the prizes. It means making all the social media content. It means building out the live stream and all of that. And it all takes time. Plus, Christmas stuff with my family and whatnot. And so I was really heavily debating this year whether or not I was going to take a break from the podcast in December. I wanted to, but I felt super guilty about it. And one night this week, when I was sitting around feeling super guilty about it, I got an email from Amy Porterfield, and I've been following Amy Porterfield forever. VoiceOver Marketing Playbook would not exist without Amy Porterfield. She's a podcaster that I been listening to for years. And Amy Porterfield sent an email, and the first line in the email was, I'm taking a break from my podcast. And I was like, oh, Thank you, Jesus. Like, that was the sign from God that I needed to know that it was okay for me. I'm like, if Amy Porterfield could take a break from her podcast, I could take a break from my podcast. So I am taking a break from the podcast this month, which has been nice, or will be nice. But it's also because I'm getting ready for things like 12 voiceover gifts at Christmas, which is going to be huge. And I hope you guys join. And I hope you'll come, and I hope you'll be part of the live stream. And I hope that you will show some love and support to all of the amazing people who have donated prizes. I want you to know that, going back to what I talked about earlier, this industry, it can be really hard to figure out who you can trust. It can be really hard to figure out who the good ones are. I only do business with people that I trust, with people that I know are good. I've turned down prize offers for the 12 voiceover gifts at Christmas before from people who I don't know. And I'm not doing it to be rude. I don't know. And so I don't want to risk shining a light on somebody that maybe doesn't deliver, right? So I only accept gifts, and I only associate and shine the light with the people that I know, like, and trust. Those are the people that I bring on my podcast. Those are the people that I do 12 voiceover gifts at Christmas with. And so keep that in mind as well, that if you are at a point where you are looking for a coach or a demo producer or whatever, the people that you see in the 12 voiceover gifts at Christmas, those are good people. Those are people you can trust. Cameron says, if I haven't used my last coaching session with you from the Marketing Playbook series, do I lose it at the end of the year? Well, there's good news, Cameron. You couldn't use it right now, even if you wanted to, because I actually am not taking any more coaching sessions in December. So book it in January. Just go ahead and book it in January. You can do that now, by the way. If you log in now, my January calendar is open, so you can get a session in January if you would like to do that. But yeah, no more spots available. I have one coaching session on Monday, and I think that's it. I don't have any more coaching sessions for the rest of the year. But I will keep trying to do Free Advice Friday. Try to do at least a couple more in the month of December, because these are fun. And I enjoy hanging out with you guys. And I appreciate the fact that you come and hang out with me. What else? Did I miss a question? If I did, I apologize. I am certainly not trying to intentionally miss questions. So if I did happen to miss your question, feel free to type it again. I'm just scrolling back through. I don't think I've missed anything, but let's see. Where are we going? Oh, here's one. How often do you plan out your marketing plans for platforms and such? I don't really have to make a plan anymore, because for the most part, my stuff is pretty consistent. I promote my podcast. I promote my DocuShorts. I try to add value through the voiceover tips and stuff like that. Like, I kind of have my plan. Although I will say that next year things are going to mix up a little bit. And that's just because I'm going to gain back more of my time, because I'm going to be doing a little bit less coaching, a little bit less private coaching. And so I'm looking forward to getting back into some of my own direct marketing efforts and building some campaigns for some certain things that I'm going after, some certain strategies that I'm going to be working on. I've got a new, my demo with JMC, we're going to record at the end of January. So I'll have that in February. I want to be ready to hit the ground running with that demo. So I'm working on building lead lists and campaigns for that. And so part of my marketing plan, as it were, is just figuring out what my goals and my priorities are. And I know at this point, I know what my goals and my priorities are for 2026. I mean, goal number 1, get the demo done and produce an amazing demo, which I would ideally love for it to be an award-winning demo. Take that demo and get a couple of new agents out of that demo. So there's going to be marketing involved in trying to get a couple of new agents. There's probably going to be some coaching or workshops involved. I don't want to just reach out to these agents cold. I want to look for an opportunity to do a workshop with them so that I can get on their radar and, hopefully impress them in the workshop so that they invite me to send my demo. and then leveraging that into trying to get some new commercial opportunities, which then I'm going to try to leverage into some in-show narration opportunities. Like I already kind of am reverse engineering the goal and kind of have a plan laid out for what that's going to look like. So what I'm hearing is I need to book my other session for next year now. Yeah. And like January will fill up very quickly because of the fact that I don't have any more availability in December. So if you want your other session, my friend, you should definitely be booking that and getting onto the January calendar sooner than later. All right. What else is going on? I got time for one more question, maybe two, depending on the question. If you've got something that you want to ask and get answered. Just because, by the way, just because there are no new episodes of the podcast that will be coming out for the next few weeks doesn't mean that you can't go back and enjoy some of the previous episodes of the podcast. I had some good stuff. I had some really good guests on the show this year. And I've already started thinking about what I'm going to do for next year. One of my ideas is I've been tossing around is the Legends series. So, you know, who are some of the most notable voice actors that I could reach out to and try to convince to come on the show and just get their story. So that's one of the things that I've been thinking about. The idea has been percolating. But yeah, some good stuff, especially in the last couple months in particular. Kelly Mashinsky, amazing casting director, gave a masterclass. Marilyn Wisner, same deal, casting director, gave a masterclass. That was so good. Ian Russell, for anybody that's interested in video games, Ian Russell's episode was fantastic. That's become one of the most downloaded episodes of the year. People loved that one. So much good information in that episode with him. A lot of comments on my episode from last week with Cynthia DePando and talking about audio description or described video, and just a genre that a lot of people don't think about. That ended up being a really popular episode. So some good stuff. Go back on the YouTube channel. It's all here. What's your favorite holiday tradition with the family? We love touring the lights and having hot chocolate and along the way. We actually have the good fortune of in one of the very close by town, 10 minutes from here, has one of the largest, apparently one of the largest Christmas lights displays in Ontario. Actually, now there's another town that's doing it as well. The whole entire town gets in on it. I'm talking like, you guys know the Great Christmas Light Fight? I'm talking like half the houses in town do themselves up like that. It's a relatively new thing. But so both of these places are within 10-minute drive of our home. So that's definitely on our list, hitting those places. We used to go to Niagara Falls every year. And we would go to Niagara Falls to see the lights, the Winter Festival of Lights in Niagara Falls, and, you know, hit up an arcade and, you know, just do that whole thing. And that was a big thing that we used to do every year for Christmas. We weren't able to do it for a few years with COVID and lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. And then it got a little bit more challenging. When you're a family of 6, you know, you can't just book a hotel room. Nobody will let you book a hotel room. Everybody wants you to book 2 hotel rooms now. But we did do it last year, which was nice to get back to that, have that night out, that tradition of going and seeing the lights and all that sort of stuff. I'm a light guy. I love going and seeing lights. So that's definitely something that I am looking forward to. And then we do cookie decorating, and, you know, grandma's going to be here and Graham's going to be here and the kids are going to be here. And we do full blown like factory line cookie decoration, which is always fun, especially when you're talking about like a 4-year-old up against a 17-year-old. Like, it will get chaotic. The problem is you make so many cookies and then you eat them all. That's the problem. I don't even have my Christmas tree up in my office. So normally my Christmas tree would be right there. But I'm hoping anyway, to be working on some updates to voiceover marketing playbook. And I don't want my Christmas tree to be in the background when I'm working on some of those videos. So I don't even have my Christmas tree up in my office yet, which is actually making me very sad. I've been trying to think about whether or not there's somewhere else I could put it. But then I do need to have my tree there for when we do the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas live streams. So at some point, I got to figure that out because I want my tree. Any advice for how to connect with an old agent from a year ago? Just reach out to them, say hi, wish them happy holidays. Let them know about some of the cool stuff you booked this year. That'd be the easiest thing. I think actually now is a really great time for it, just because of the fact that even just to reach out and wish them happy holidays is, I mean, that's a good excuse in and of itself. But especially if they know, if you've got some stuff that you've done this year, you know, a couple cool clients or a couple cool commercial bookings or something like that, definitely let them know about that. And that's a good excuse to get back on their radar again. I mean, they don't need to know you're a family of 6. Yeah, they didn't last year. That's one of the things now, because everything's done online, right? You used to have to go to the front desk. Now you don't have to go to the front desk anymore because the keys are digital, the check-in's digital. So yeah, we may have snuck in. We may have snuck into the Hilton last year. The tradition was always that I would get a suite on the top floor. So the Hilton Hotel in Niagara Falls, on the Ontario side, the Hilton Hotel is the tallest tower in Niagara Falls. And so I would always get us a suite on the top floor of the Hilton. And you can stand there and it's floor to ceiling windows, and you look down on Niagara Falls and you look down on all the lights that are in the park. And then they have the fireworks every night. And so then you're actually watching the fireworks from above, which is really, really fun. And so, yeah, we used to do that every year. And like I said, missed it a few years for COVID, but got back to it last year. Don't know if we're going to be able to do it this year. It's complicated now because the oldest is working. And so it makes the schedule a little bit tougher, but that was always fun to do, to get in on the top floor of the Hilton and watch the fireworks from over top. It's a really cool view to see fireworks if you ever get the chance to do it. All right, everyone. Thank you for hanging out on Free Advice Friday. I certainly do appreciate it. Appreciate all the questions. How do you decide? Come on, we can't talk like that. This is a family show. How do you decide to book for the pod? There's a couple of things that I take into consideration when I'm booking people for the podcast. Number one is, do I know them? I like to try to talk to people that I know. But number two is I like to listen to my audience. I survey my audience a lot. And I ask either, who do you want to hear from? Or is there a subject matter that you would like me to cover? And so when people reach out and respond with, you know, I really wish you would do an episode about this, then I try to see if I can figure out who I can get on the show. Or I'd really love to hear so-and-so, or, you know, hearing so-and-so story or whatever. Over the years, as my network has expanded, obviously that has made it a little bit easier as well. I have a lot of great conversations with people. I mean, Cynthia DePando, we talked about it in the podcast itself. I met Cynthia at VO Atlanta. She, you know, introduced herself and we had a conversation, and, you know, really great conversation. I got to know a little bit about the type of work that she was doing. And then so that was in March. And then in May, I was in Vancouver. I did a workshop in Vancouver. And when I was doing the workshop in Vancouver, Cynthia was there. And so we had another conversation. And she said at that point, she's like, you know, I do a lot of this audio description, and, you know, I would love to talk about it on the show if you're interested. And I was like, okay, that's a genre that I don't know anything about. I made a note, lost the note, forgot about it. Cynthia reached out to me in November and said, hey, remember when we talked about doing this podcast? I'm like, yes, I do. You need to come on my show. And great episode, added a ton of value. So yeah, there's a few different ways that I go about it. But often I just want to tell good stories, and I want to give good information. I feel like my favorite podcasts to listen to are the ones where after an hour of listening, I feel like I learned something new. I've got something actionable that I can walk away with, or I didn't want the show to end because I was enjoying it so much. If it gives me one of those feelings, then I feel like I got a really good show. I listened to a really good show. And so that's kind of how I treat my podcast. I want you to walk away thinking, holy crap, I just got a 1-hour free masterclass with Mary Lynn Wisner. Or I want you to listen and think, audio description, like that's a genre I never thought of before, but now I want to explore that genre. Or when I had Lila Berzins on the show, and she was talking about how she was on food stamps and driving Uber, and now she's like voicing for Disney and Nickelodeon and all these places. Like, that's a story that you're like, wow, I don't want that story to be over. And so, that's kind of my measuring stick. That's the stuff that I think about. Would you consider interviewing George Washington III or Barry about changes for world voices and the importance of finding community in the VO? Did Barry put you up to that? I love Barry. She was in my mastermind a couple of years ago, and she's been bugging me about a podcast. I feel like there's a whole army of people from WoVO who are now subtly reaching out to me in different ways, trying to get Barry or George on the podcast. So yes, I will have one of them on the show at some point next year. I have made a note of that one. The whisper campaign that has been going on has been effective. Okay, guys, I got to jump out. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for your questions. It's always fun doing Free Advice Friday with you guys. I do have it on my calendar for next week, so I'm certainly going to try. Next week might be the last Free Advice Friday for the year. We'll see. Just because obviously Christmas is coming up and there's going to be a lot going on. But either way, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you will get notified anytime that I am going live. I try to schedule it ahead of time. And before you log off, if you would do me a favor and hit the like button, I would certainly appreciate it as well. Okay? Thank you guys. As always, whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, go find some leads.